So thank you very much again. And let's move on to the next item on our agenda, which is item 12. Petition number 0482/2021, submitted by Patrice D'Outremont, Belgian nationality, on behalf of an association and environmental federation on the sound pollution from wind turbines, noise pollution from wind turbines. Mr. Patrice D'Outremont is here with us, so we welcome you, sir. You've got 5 minutes for your statement, then later 2 minutes for a wrap-up. Over to you.
This will do better. Thank you. Madame la Présidente de la
Madam Chair of the Petty Committee, ladies and gentlemen, members of this committee,
having enabled the current session to audit petition 482/2021 on wind turbine noise. I will summarize the framework of the petition as follows. The topic of wind turbine noise has been on the table of the European Parliament for more than 10 years. 10 years back, only a few thousand wind turbines were in service, yet it was already perceived that the wind turbine noise was an issue that required attention, and there was a need to better understand a new industrial nuisance. In 2022, 10 years later, more than 100,000 turbines are in service, and 2 or 3 times more, that number, are expected to be in operation by 2030. A considerable amount of data collected from the field have confirmed the importance of the noise issue and the significance of the specifics of that noise. As today, the following situation can be observed. The wind turbine noise reality is acknowledged by all parties concerned, operators, licensing administration, and, of course, the general public exposed to the noise. Yet each member state handles the issue by means of ad hoc local regulations. Multiple recourses against operators are slowing down the deployment of wind farms and, most importantly, are the manifestation of a growing opposition among rural populations. Various scientific organizations have published analysis of the wind turbine noise phenomenon and its perceived consequences on neighboring populations. Most of these analyses have exposed the high sensitivity of the noise propagation to the local circumstances, geography, meteorology, types of turbine, etc., whereby showing clearly that this noise is a broad issue that requires specific forms of measurements and control and, ultimately, EU-level regulation. Against that background, our petition respectfully submits the following. 1. Considering the importance, justified or not, granted to wind in the forthcoming electricity energy mix of the Union, it is necessary to regulate properly the noise emissions of wind turbines. 2. These noise emissions are notoriously difficult to measure due to the frequency spectral structure and the complex propagation mechanism of such emissions. Some of the key characteristics of the noise are indeed that it is generated highly above ground, typically 100 meters, much more audible over night time and not covered by ambient noise at night, subject to considerable and rapid amplitude modulation. They are releasing powerful emissions in the low-frequency part of the sound spectrum. They are very poorly attenuated by insulation material and by construction, of course. They are installed and operated in quiet areas. 3, because of such features and others, wind turbine emissions measurement requires specific measurement techniques and procedure. Unfortunately, these are not legally enforceable as today. To the contrary, unsuitable measurement technologies are routinely used by operators to comply with unsuitable measurement procedures that are otherwise deemed suitable for other types of sound emissions. It can therefore be confidently concluded that because of the major part expected to be played by the wind technology in the REPowerEU project, there is clear requirement for a proper regulation of wind turbine noise emissions. Such regulation needs to be established on a sound scientific knowledge of the specifics of wind turbine noise and on the definition of a corresponding measurement methodology. The availability of both could be strongly accelerated thanks to well-targeted studies conducted under the European Commission guidance and the supervision of the European Parliament. As a further step, due consideration could be given to complement Directive 2002/49, the Noise Directive, with a wind noise annex and/or to introduce a wind turbine regulation into Directive 1020/75, which is the industry emission. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Now I'm giving the floor to the European Commission, to Katrin Metz van Issem from MV Department.
Thank you, Chair. Unfortunately, the Commission does not have substantial new elements to add to what we have already replied in January, namely that we understand that the petitioners demand that the noise of wind turbines be considered or included in Directive 2002/49 or in other EU measures. And we agree that that is not currently the case, so that the noise directive does not currently require member states to show on a noise map the noise emitted by wind turbines. But for that to change, we would have to modify those, so therefore the directive. But there are other measures that do require member states' authorities to take account of the noise that is emitted from wind turbines. So when a new wind turbine is constructed, it has to undergo impact assessment. But it is for the member states to set any noise limits, even under the directive, as it is now, even for other sources of noise. We are under discussions taking into account the Zero Pollution Action Plan and also the REPowerEU initiative that the petitioner has raised on whether or not the noise directive should be revised. But so far, these discussions are still ongoing and have not been concluded. Clearly, any decision to propose a revision of the directive and include specific provisions on noise from wind turbines would need to be taken after careful consideration of the merits of such a procedure and also in light of the subsidiarity principle. So is EU action required and justified, or can this be dealt with at the member state level? And so therefore, in conclusion, we cannot commit, the Commission cannot commit to the outcome of any such revision procedure. It is still ongoing. The question of whether or not we will revise. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. For EPP, who is going to intervene? Peter, are you going to intervene in this point?
No, Mr. Kanev.
Mr. Kanev, EPP Group.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So the issue of the noise pollution from wind turbines has been raised many times, including in our committee and before the European Parliament generally. However, the European Commission is quite firm. It's in position that wind turbines don't fall in the scope of the relevant European directives, which basically formally means that this petition does not have legal grounds. However, on behalf of the EPP, having in mind the huge impact of our new energy policies, the huge part of wind electricity generation in these policies, which means that the problem will become more and more important for new parts of the population. I think that in order to keep investigating the importance of the problem and eventually inclusion in certain European regulation, we still need to keep this petition open.
Thank you very much. Cristina Maestra, S&D.
Muchas gracias, Presidente.
Thank you very much, Chair. And thank you, petitioners, for this petition, which we fully share. The truth be said, whatever the Commission says, if there are citizens who have submitted a petition and they worry and complain about noise emission, obviously there must be a problem. And we're here not just to hear that there is a problem, but to do something about it. So we totally agree with the petitioner's concerns. Because of the noise emitted by wind turbines, and if the studies bear this out, and we believe that undertaking these studies is a very good thing, that would be a serious risk for the health of people. Therefore, we believe it could be extremely interesting to try and promote that type of study precisely to clear up the situation and come up with some rigorous science-based solutions as regards the noise that could be produced by these wind turbines, and also to promote some kind of rule to protect people from these noises. Perhaps even change the European Directive on Noise Emissions on the basis of such science-based results. So again, we totally support this proposal, and we do ask for this matter to be submitted to ENVI, and obviously to keep this petition open until something is really done about it. Thank you. Thank you, says the Chair. ECR, please.
Dziękuję Pani Przewodnicząca, dziękuję Panu, który wnosi petycję. Myślę, że...
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you, petitioners, again. I believe that from the very beginning of our mandate, we've received a number of petitions concerning the wind turbines. So obviously it's become quite a serious social problem. It's not just a matter of noise. It's also a matter of degrading the landscape, the environment, deforestation. There's a number of reasons why these petitions keep coming up before us year after year. Generally speaking, one could say that obviously this is due to the fact that the turbines are getting ever closer to inhabited areas. But the fact of the matter is that the Commission obviously doesn't seem to want to undertake this study, even though there are environment protection agencies that could undertake these scientific studies on their own. But the Commission seems to go against this because this runs counter to the Commission's policy. May I remind you that the Commission wants renewable energies, producing some 470 gigawatts, and we already discussed this at the last meeting. And this takes up some 460 hectares of land on the whole in the European Union. So let us remind ourselves that this is a policy matter and this is a legislative problem. And you know that part of the Fit for 55 package is going to be negotiated. And within that particular package, there's also a document on renewable sources of energy. And at the present time, the provisions are already undergoing some kind of transformation. So we do have here a total disregard for the influence of this type of technology on the health of people, on habitat, on the human habitat in general. For instance, the procedures must be shortened to the maximum extent. And these petitions are showing that the situation is all the more serious, and we should not allow the European Commission to get by and neglect this very real movement of citizens within the European Union. And I believe that we also need to draw Commissioner von der Leyen's attention to this. It's dangerous that in Zimmerman's group, there are some people that directly come from this particular community. I believe that there's a true clash of interest there. Because when I take a look at the provisions that have been changing legislation as it pertains to renewable sources of energy, I'm really under the impression that there's a lobby at work here.
Point. I'm giving the floor to the petitioner to conclude this petition. Thank you. For 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam. I can only refer to the comments that the member of the Parliament have stated right now. I think they are in the line of our thoughts and certainly supporting the reason why we are respectfully submitting the proposal that we have made on today.
No. Thank you very much to the petitioner, and after hear the petitioner, the Commission and the groups, we are going to remain open this petition, and we are going to send this petition to the ENVI committee here in the Parliament, and we are going to ask them for opinion about this petition. So thank you very much. Now, vamos ahora al punto 13.
Let's move on. Item 13, petition.